Blog Talk Radio.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Jets Radio. I am one of your hosts, Kevin Sirkin, filling in for Tyson Roush. I apologize if I sound terrible. I've been under the weather the past few days, so of course Tyson picked the perfect time to be away. So if this show is a train wreck, you guys can blame him at TRoush21. But hey, season's over. I'll try to be optimistic at least for tonight. Off-season's here. Every Jets fan's favorite time of year where there's at least a glimmer of hope that, we can dream about this organization one day getting things right and getting a chance to celebrate like the Chiefs fans did all week. So with that, let me introduce you guys to the man of the people, Long Beach Joe. What's going on, man?
What's going on, Kev? Hey, man, you're already doing a great job. You know what I'm saying? Everything is going to be good. We're going to sit down. We're going to talk Jets. We're going to talk to the people. This is going to be a great one, man. I can't wait to get into it. So listen, I'm the man of the people. I'm here for the people. Let me shamelessly promote our Facebook page. Everyone go on Facebook, search Let's Talk Jets Radio. Like that page. Our content's up there. Go ahead and give it a listen. Message us. We'll message you right back. We love going back and forth with folks about this football team. Also leave us some feedback. We love hearing about what you folks think we do here on Let's Talk Jets Radio. So without further ado, Kev, let's go ahead and get into the show, man. I'm fired up.
All right, and a reminder to also check us out on Twitter and Instagram at Talk Jets Radio, and to also check out our YouTube page, Let's Talk Jets Radio. I promise I'm going to get back to videos very soon. I've got a few other things planned in the works for that channel, so stay tuned. But Joe, you and Ty, you guys have been killing it over there, so we definitely appreciate all the comments, the feedback, and support and everything else. So before we start talking about the Jets, obviously the big game was on Sunday, so Joe, did you enjoy watching another Super Bowl without the Jets in it?
Well, I mean, it sucked, not to see us in there, but we got some things we need to clean up here. For me, what I took from it is being able to watch teams that are so far ahead of us and seeing what we need, the kind of the road that we need to walk down. When you look at this game, man, I enjoyed it. I really, really did. I picked the Chiefs to take it. They did. Watching them fight after, it kind of looked a little rough. The start was a little rough, but they were able to pick some things up and come back. And one of the things that really stood out was, Patrick Mahomes, who was having a tough time at first, was able to kind of bounce back and get back into the groove and do enough. And a big part of that was Andy Reid. You looked at Andy Reid throughout that game. Dude, he was just even keel. He kept his head in the game. His offensive strategy looked solid. I mean, he made adjustments. He did all those things, and that, coming back to the Jets, again, is something that we need to do here. Adam Gase, got to step it up this year coming up, got to put together solid game plans on a weekly basis, and got to make adjustments. So, I thought it was a good game. I thought the Niners fought hard. I know Richard Sherman definitely, had a lot of people on his neck after the game, with his little issues that he had with Revis. They had a traded words, and, he didn't necessarily have a good game. He definitely got targeted quite a bit, and Tyreek Hill really went off, and there were some other receivers that went off on him as well. So, but it is what it is. The Niners are a young team. I'm very sure they'll be competing for Super Bowls to come. They've got a very solid nucleus, and they're going to continue to build, So hats off to both teams. The Chiefs took it. I'm happy for them. But, man, these are two teams that could be in it for years to come.
Yeah, Joe, I'm not like you. I mean, I try hard to enjoy this time of year with, playoff football. I consider myself a football fanatic, but I don't go crazy, with the Super Bowl parties and everything else like some people do. Because this time of year, I'm sorry, I get depressed. It's 9 years now, no playoffs, 17 years without a home playoff game. Like, that is just zapped so much of the life out of me when it comes to this time of year. It's like I want to be happy for Andy Reid and the Chief fans. They deserve it after 50 years. But it's like, yeah, damn, our fans deserve it too. How much longer do we have to wait to finally get to experience that,
Yeah, well, look, Kevin, I hear you, but as you know, I'm a positive guy. I look at the situation, what can we take from it? Like I said earlier. Well, come on, man, pick your chin up. Come on, man. You got to pick your chin up, poke your chest out. Come on, get the step in, We got to just fix what's going on here. And I'm telling you, I got a saying, winners win, losers lose. If you keep making some of the dumb decisions that we've made over the years, we talked about Maccagnan ad nauseum on this show, the issues that we had drafting, the issues that we had in free agency, coaching issues here. When you have those issues, it is definitely not going to help you get to where the Chiefs are. it's going to hurt you. It's going to hamstring you. You're going to continue to be a bottom-feeding NFL team unless you right the ship on multiple fronts. So look, we've got talent, a little bit of talent on this team, but we've got to do whatever we can to procure other talent. We've also got to go out, bring in guys. We got to draft better. We've got to coach better. We got to do those things. So look, like I said, I'm happy for the Chiefs. I remember when they were not very good. I remember when there were issues over there. And just seeing them be able to turn things around. And as well with the Niners. There were some years, I'm here in California, there were some years where Niners fans were furious about how bad that team was up there, and they were able to turn things around. Yeah, but so what I'm hoping is that, hey, we can do the same thing. We really, we've got some things here. We've just got to turn it up, and we found the biggest piece, which is the franchise quarterback. That's something we've been searching for decades. So if we have that, and again, that's a big piece. A lot of franchises in the NFL literally are wandering in the desert, have been wandering in the desert for years looking for that. And, we were one of those teams. We finally found one, so we've just got to do whatever we can to continue to help him out to grow and continue to help our offense out as well to grow in an offensive league. So, that's the reason why my head is up, my chest is out, is because we've got the guy. We just got to change things around him to really help him out and get this team headed in the right direction.
That's why I'm fascinated to hear what your expectations are for this offseason, as well as the callers, but you in particular, because I think the expectations for this offseason have to depend on how close you think the Jets are to actually being a legitimate contender. So if your belief is that Sam is a franchise guy, and your belief is that Adam Gase has the ability to learn and grow and adapt, which I don't think he does. I mean, I'm guessing you would be pretty confident in thinking that Joe Douglas would be able to find at least a few of the spare parts combined with some of the players coming back from injury to get the Jets to at least take a decent leap from where they were this past season, no?
Yeah, well, I have no faith in Adam Gase. I just want to be very clear about that. I've been very clear about that since we hired him. I don't think he's a very good coach. Huh? Yeah, I don't think he's a very good coach. No, I'm just keeping it real. I'm making sure that everyone understands that my narrative is not changed here. I'm not a fan of Gase. I'm not a fan of his offensive game planning. I'm just not a fan of him as a coach here, period. But what I am a fan of is Sam Darnold. And I think that Sam Darnold is so good, he can almost overcome bad play calling. And we've seen that. We saw that with the offensive coordinator we had before Gase, where he would come to the line at times and be able to change things up at the line, make an audible, and completely get away from the disaster that was called before. Now, he can't do that every single time, but he can do that quite a bit. We've seen it. But what needs to happen around him is we need to better the offensive weapons around him. And not just at wide receiver, but mainly along this offensive line. This offensive line is garbage. I mean, trash, and we need to better that. And a lot of that was from Mike McCagnon, the previous GM, getting these guys in here that weren't worth a hill of beans, trying to put things together with these garbage-ass linemen that he was finding off the scrap heap. That time is over. I've been yelling for years. Get some muscle up front. If you want a franchise QB to eat, you got to set the table. I said that before we even drafted Sam. Now's the time, and I do believe that we have the assets to do that. And Joe Douglas being this highly touted general manager, right? I know you talked about how much you liked him as well. I know, you wrote stuff. You talked about how, hey, this guy could be the guy. I know fans are just over the moon about this guy. I look at his record there in Philly when he was there. There were some issues there drafting before he stepped in, and he had some input in there. He was finding guys in the draft. So I do think that he could be the guy to change what's going on here, particularly in our draft room. Free agency, because we have the money, I think that we can target some guys, particularly along that offensive line, to help us some tackles, maybe some guards, and it'll go a long way because, again, we don't have a ton of draft picks. We don't have enough draft picks to fix all the holes that we have here. But I think with the combination of some money in free agency and the draft and maybe next draft, we could be in this space where we could be maybe a playoff team or a playoff contender, within the next 2 years, even though Adam Gase is here.
See, I was a huge fan of Joe Douglas. He soured me a little bit throughout the year. I know this wasn't the roster that he put together, but just some of the things with, the Coach Assembly, losing the MRIs and then not having a backup quarterback, not doing anything with the kicking situation. Some of that stuff soured me. And then also just not knowing how much of a say Adam Gase is going to have with some of the personnel decisions, how much influence ownership might have, whether or not they think this is a win-now situation, how much pressure Adam Gase feels to win now, because he's not going to survive another 6 or 7 win season. So how much do those voices influence what Joe Douglas is going to be able to do? That's what worries me.
Yeah, and you'd be correct. How much power does he have in that room? If he steps in and Adam Gase is the guy that's actually still pulling trigger on guys, still being able to overrule him, and that's what's scary about this situation is because you also got to think about the Johnsons as well. They want to sell tickets. We all know there's a lot of fans that are upset about the way that this season went, and they're already screaming and yelling how we're not coming back, next year. This stadium is going to be as empty as it's ever been. So I'm worried if they're going to also, grab their hands in there and say, hey, make that splash move, sign that, big name whoever, even though it's not necessarily what we need or not necessarily the right decision to make, So I'm worried about that as well. It's all about, to me, if you look at the Jets, if you look at what we've done over time, people should be able to put their egos aside in that room. We've been bad for quite a long time for a reason. We've made massive mistakes in many different situations, and sometimes we made the same critical mistakes over and over and over again. Again, I go back to this offensive line. This has been an issue for years. It just didn't start this year. This has been an issue for quite some time, and we've found a way to not properly address it or criminally mishandle it every single year. So if Joe Douglas is the guy that you brought in, again, we signed him to a big deal. I mean, he should, if you look at his deal, he should outlast Adam Gase here. So there's a reason why you give a guy that much money. You give him the power to bring that staff in here that he's got. He's got a world-class staff that he picked. There's a reason for that. You've got to trust him to continue to go forward and build his franchise and keep your nose out of his business, as well as keeping Adam Gase in check as well so that he can get the right guys in here.
No, I completely agree. And I think if there's one thing that Gase and Douglas would have to agree on that I think would give, Jet fans a little bit of confidence going into the offseason is that at the very least they have to agree that the offensive line has to be the priority. I mean, you couldn't have watched the 16 games last season and not come away with any different approach heading into this offseason. So, for me, realistically, expectations going into this offseason, it's like if Joe Douglas is able to surround Sam with as much talent as possible, there is no excuse for Gase not to produce results next season. And I think that is the biggest question that the Jets need to answer. Can Adam Gase be the guy to actually lead this team going forward? And if you give him the offensive line, you sign the two best offensive linemen out there, whether it's Conklin or Scherf or Tooney, whoever it is. If you sign two guys and maybe even draft another one, and you take a wide receiver at pick 11, you give Adam Gase no excuse not to have a top 10 offense next year to get Sam to that next level that we've seen other quarterbacks in year 2 and year 3 get that weren't drafted as high as Darnold were. Yeah. I mean, do not give Adam Gase any excuse. That's my expectation for the offseason.
Yeah, and I'm right there with you, and that's the thing that scares me the most out of this whole thing is when we're talking about, putting things into action out on the field because Adam Gase, I believe, is such a bad offensive coordinator. And I don't just believe that. The stats back it up. I've ad nauseum, I've talked about how bad he is, how his offense is about him feeding, how, they're wildly unbalanced and they don't work in the league. And the only successful year he's had offensively was that 1 year with Peyton Manning where he was just, bringing Peyton his coffee every day. I mean, I'm very worried about that. Even though we'll have the tools, could I see him completely mishandling, guys that we bring in? Yes, absolutely I could. But I would hope that he would be able to just put something together if we get enough weapons on this team. But you'd have to be worried. I mean, hell, look how he's handling, Le'Veon Bell. Look how he handled him the entire season. I mean, that guy's an elite weapon. I mean, one of the most elite weapons in the last, decade of the NFL. You look at this guy's numbers, he's a Hall of Famer. He had career lows coming here. I mean, his last year is, I think, is his worst year of his entire career. And it's here under Adam Gase. So, I don't know, man. I think he'll be an obstacle, but I'm just hoping that we have so much or enough talent on this team to where we'll really start to show things, and Sam and the rest of this offense will be able to overcome, Adam Gase.
Yeah, and that's where I think fans' expectations for the offseason have to kind of come into check a little bit because, I hear people say, all right, we need to sign 4 offensive linemen, 2 wide receivers, 2 corners, 2 pass rushers. It's like, no. We have some money, but I think I saw there's 11 teams or 12 teams that have more cap space right now than the Jets do. And, yeah, they could get that up from like $50 million to $80 million. But even then, if you sign 2 offensive linemen and you give Adams that extension that he's going to get eventually, which is, going to break the bank, that's at least half your cap that's gone right there. And that's not even including Robbie Anderson, Jordan Jenkins, Brian Poole. So that money's going to go quick. So you're not going to be able to sign, 5, 6 top-tier free agents. I don't even think you're going to be able to convince, 5 or 6 top-tier free agents to want to come here.
Exactly, and you're right, and that's why I've been talking to different people, left and right, and I've been saying, hey, you might want to kind of taper your expectations. Like you said, I've heard the names. We're gonna get Amari Cooper, we're gonna get this guy, we're gonna get that. It's like, damn, you want all of those guys? Like all these top tier guys? It's like, first, how are you gonna pay for them? And then secondly, how the hell are you gonna convince them to come here? You gotta kind of relax. I think honestly, if we sign 2 solid offensive linemen, and one guy that I've been talking about, say we get a Brandon Sheriff and we get a Jack Conklin. Okay, cool. We go with those 2 guys, and then you move forward, and maybe you touch the other free agents as well, that second tier of free agency. The guys that can come in, your Shaq Barretts will be able to kind of help out, in your pass rush. You go, you touch those fringe guys that are good guys. They're solid players, solid role players, but not guys that are top tier out of this world where you're just going to have to blow your cap off. And that's another thing that's going to be on Joe Douglas as well. Finding those guys that are going to be able to come in that aren't as high up on the tier and really give you something in some type of production during the year. Because, no disrespect to him, but listen, he got Khalil in here, gave that man $2 million. He sucked. He was one of the worst, the worst offensive lineman that we had. And I know, look, I'm not banging on him. I understand that was a bad decision, but it's still a decision that he made. So, he's got to step it up as well. He's got to show us a little something, and he can get a guy that isn't top tier, just out of this world free agent, to come in here and still give us some solid production. So that's what he's got to do. And then again, like I said before, and I've been saying it for years, he's got to hit in the draft. If he wants to trade down, I wouldn't necessarily be against that if the package is right. You know what I'm saying? If the package is right. And I know people are going to hit my Twitter. I have no issues with that. We can go back and forth. But if the package is right, I wouldn't mind trading down to garner more picks, get more capital so we can fill more holes on this football team. If we don't trade down, more than likely we should be going offensive line in the first round, particularly left tackle, because I want to move on from Kelvin Beachum. And then, we can go from there. We can keep filling holes, So I think that, again, I think Joe Douglas, he's going to have, a task ahead of him this offseason. He's got to fix this team.
No doubt. And, just starting with some of the Jets' own free agents, I'm sure we'll have plenty of time to get into Robbie Anderson and Jenkins and Poole. I know that you and Tyson have talked about those guys a lot. I'm fascinated by some of the middle-tier guys, the Neville Hewitts and the James Burgesses who filled in last year, whether or not they might replace an Avery Williamson who's on the final year of his contract. I know you mentioned you want to get rid of Kelvin Beachum. I still think he would be a nice, stopgap at right tackle for a year or two, which would also allow you to maybe focus in on getting a number 1 wideout in the draft. You have questions about Alex Lewis, whether or not you want to bring him back at guard. Is Harrison still going to be your center? Do you bring Millette back? Do you bring Powell and Montgomery back? Do they even want to come back after they were underused? I'm fascinated by some of just, the middle-tier guys and, whether or not they want to bring back guys that know the system and whether or not these guys actually want to come back and play for Gase.
Yeah, when I look at guys like Neville Hewitt and Burgess, I think those are guys that should be brought back. I'm not a fan of cutting Avery Williamson. I think we should, keep him on the roster as well because him and the other, Mosley, the other star inside linebacker.
You going to pay 4 inside linebackers?
Huh?
You going to pay 4 inside linebackers?
Well, I don't think you're going to have to break the bank for Neville Hewitt or James Burgess. Those are backup guys. Neville Hewitt filled in solidly, but still, Williamson out there healthy, finally with Mosley, I think would be one hell of a tandem out there. We saw a great year from Williamson when he was healthy. He'd come down great in run support, did a solid job out there inside linebacker. Got left out there in the season game, tears ACL, and he's done.
I'm sorry, I just can't get behind the idea of paying $20 million plus for inside linebackers. Mosley's making $14, $15, and then you got Avery making over $6 million. Plus, if you're going to give Burgess and Hewitt a contract, it'll probably be at least 2 years, $2.5 million per year, I think, for each of those guys because they've proven I think they could be starting caliber players at the very least. They're solid special teams guys, so they're going to get decent contracts. I think at least 2-year deals. So and you also have Cashman on the roster who proved he could play. So. I think you have so many holes elsewhere.
Yeah, but Cashman wasn't healthy at all. Cashman didn't finish the season. He wasn't healthy. So why would
I know, but I'm saying when Mosley and Avery Williamson both went down, he was the first guy that they thought of to put in there in a starting role. That's how highly they viewed him, and he's not making anything. So I'm just saying, when you have limited resources and you're trying to fill so many holes, I don't know if I can allocate $20 million plus to inside linebacker.
Well, I don't understand why you would take away Williamson and have another hole there. Because, like you said, those are guys that solidly filled in. But this could be a great inside linebacker tandem. And what exactly everything else we're going to draft? What else would you need? You would look at pass rusher, right? We're going to find that in the draft. You don't want to pay for that in free agency. What are you going to do at your cornerback position? Are you going to pay a corner? Are you going to go top with Byron Jones? Is that what you're going to do? Because if you're not going to get him, then we're probably going to draft that as well. So it's not like you're blowing your money anywhere else. All the rest of you guys, like we said, should be lower tier guys. Why would you get rid of Williamson and have another big hole? Williamson is a very good linebacker. He's not some scrub. He's not just a fill-in guy. This is a starter. This is a real starter, a guy that really had great production for us. Why would we take away a solid inside linebacker on this defense when it could be him and Mosley out there? You want to talk about that's crazy.
I agree about Williamson, but is he part of your future, though? He's on the final year of his contract. Are there any plans to extend him beyond this year? Do you even know how he's going to respond coming off this injury?
Well, that's the point of it. We'll see what he does when he's out there. But I'm
saying, like, if you can sign Burgess and Hewitt for less combined than it costs to pay Avery Williamson, I think that makes more sense, and then you could use that money on O-line and whatever else.
But you could still do that. Those guys, well, you said yourself, and I was going to say as well, you're only signing those guys to maybe $2 million per. We have enough cap money. It's not like we're going to have to break the bank to keep those guys if they want to stay here. So if they're only signing $2 million per, we're going to need depth anyway. So we don't want to have to get rid of those guys because they filled in solidly. So let those guys, again, come back, be the depth guys. We sign them to their depth contracts, will work fine for us. And then we keep Williamson and Mosley. I just don't see why we would walk away from a guy who's been one hell of a player for us before we even saw him with Mosley paired together. Why would we do that?
Because I don't think you need it. I don't think you need an all-pro. I don't think you need an all-pro next to Mosley, especially with the money that you're paying him.
Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you want another all-pro next to Mosley? Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you want another great linebacker that can help you in run support? Why wouldn't you?
Hewitt and Burgess both proved that they can handle the inside linebacker duties with both of those guys hurt. Now you're adding an all-pro like Mosley back into that. Why do you need to pay another guy like Williamson who's on the last year of his deal? He's probably not even out of their future after this year.
Why wouldn't I want to pay a better player or keep a better player than what we already have there next to Mosley?
Because you can use that money elsewhere.
I can keep that money here and have him get that production, and we can use money that's going to be on the cap anyway. Again, we're not, like, going broke. We're not dying. Like, we have cash to spend. But why get rid of a guy?
But like I said, it's going to go quick. You give Adams that extension and you sign 2 offensive linemen, that money's going quick. So $7 million bucks for Avery Williamson. That's a big chunk of change for a guy who's probably not going to be here in 2021.
I was about to say $7 million. That's literally what I'm about to say. We're only paying him $7 million. That's not going to kill us. We should keep him around. I just don't understand why we're getting rid of a guy for only $7 million to give us great production that we've seen
because you're paying over $20 million bucks at inside linebacker. You don't do that.
Okay, but most of that is...
You keep saying yourself how much we need help on the offensive line, how much we need help in the secondary. We need a pass rusher. So why are we going to pay $20 million bucks for inside linebackers?
Because we can we can still get enough help along the offensive line with the rest of our cap. Why are we getting rid of Williamson? Because we overpaid Mosley to come here, and he's only here for $7 million. Why are we getting rid of him? Why are we getting rid of another all-pro that can give us all-pro production at inside linebacker just because we got some guys that can fill in and be okay? Why are we handicapping Greg Williams again with his scheme instead of giving him the best players that he can have out there? That makes no sense. That makes no sense at all. Let those two guys go out there and work hard and be fine. That's going to be fine for us. That defense with those two guys, and then again, regardless of whether we sign Adams or not, hopefully he will play and not hold out next year. But we'll have Adams and May, we'll have Mosley and Williamson on the inside. That's one hell of a tandem. That makes no sense to break that up because we got depth guys. That makes no sense. We should keep that guy. There's no reason to cut him. He's only making $7 million. $20 million an inside linebacker. You can thank Mike McCagnon for that. He's the one that brought Mosley here. He's the one that had to overpay to get the guy here. That's not.
I'm not saying anything bad about Mosley.
Defense for that.
I love Mosley being here. I'm not saying anything bad about Mosley. I'm just saying when you have a player of his caliber here, you don't need to pay a guy like Williamson $7 million alongside him. You know, you're saying that Hewitt and Burgess are just okay, but they didn't have Mosley playing next to them. You would think a guy like Mosley is going to elevate them as well. And like I said, you don't know how Mosley is going to come back from his injury.
Yeah, I don't know how Mosley
an ACL injury for an inside linebacker who's supposed to be your coverage linebacker. That's in the final year of his deal. I'm not paying him $7 million when we have all the holes that we have elsewhere. I can't do it. And I like him as a player. I like him as a player, but we have other needs elsewhere.
From what we saw with him, I have no issues paying him $7 million to be on the roster at inside linebacker from the production we saw from that guy, especially next to Mosley. I just don't understand why you would get rid of an all-pro linebacker that's only making $7 million because you're going to blame him for us overpaying Mosley and put another hole in the defense. I'm not with that.
All right. Well, I don't know if there's any other free agents that you wanted to talk about. I mean, Powell, Montgomery, I think those guys.
We can talk about Robbie.
Again, he's another guy.
About Powell, Montgomery.
Well, Robbie's fascinating to me because I would love to keep him. I think he's a great number 2. I like the chemistry that him and Sam have. I just think some team, probably Miami or somebody else, is going to give him that number 1 wideout money, and he's going to move on. And obviously, Joe Douglas, not having been the one that brought him in, he's not going to feel compelled to match any kind of offer.
Yeah. Look, and I'm right there. I look at Robbie, and I think he's a very solid wide receiver. I do not think he's a number 1 wide receiver. I think he's at best, a solid number 2, kind of high end, maybe number 3. But when you look at what he's asking for north of, $13 million. I've heard $14, $15 million. We're all afraid that, like you just said, some team is going to come in there and break the bank for him. I wouldn't do that, unless he wants to sign for $10 million, maybe $11 million at the most. I wouldn't re-sign him. Not at all. I'd let him walk. I look at this situation. Why would I pay Robbie, $13, $14, $50 million when I can pay an offensive lineman? Hell, I could pay a pass rusher, a premium pass rusher, whoever's going to be out there because there's still guys shaking loose, that type of money to come in and give us, production from a premium position. Why would I pay Robbie that money when I can pay that person or pay the next free agent that type of money to come in and give us great production and then find a guy in the draft because this is a solid draft of wide receivers, then find the guy that does exactly what Robbie does in the draft. Why would I do that?
Yep.
Robbie only had 700 yards this year, seven and some change this year. Like, I would not give that guy number 1 wide receiver money. And it's no disrespect to him. I think he's talented, but dude, $15 million? No, thank you.
Yeah, and you touched on it, especially in a year where this is such a highly touted draft class for wide receivers, and we do have 4 picks in the top, 3 rounds. Possibly, Douglas will even look to trade down and get some more picks, like you mentioned. So I'm looking, all offense, wide receiver, O-line in the draft. And, unfortunately, I think that's probably going to end up, costing Robbie Anderson. But another guy, though, that I hope turns out differently with negotiations is Jordan Jenkins, because to me, he's just a guy that, he's really grown on me as a player. He came in the league kind of quiet, lunch pail guy, still, the same hardworking dude. But you start to see him, on the sidelines now, a little bit more rah-rah. And, he's putting up the numbers. I think he had 8 sacks last year. He's probably going to get, somewhere between $8 to $10 million per year over 3 to 4 years. Is that something that you'd be willing to pay him?
Man, yeah. 8 to 10 million. I don't know what the numbers would be. I know they'd be somewhere around there. $8 million, I'd love to bring the guy back. I love Jordan Jenkins. I think he was one hell of a steal when we drafted him. He's come in, really been a lunch pail guy, solid in coverage. He's decent. But like you said, and something that we've talked about throughout the season is how he's been able to pop up on the stat sheet as far as sacks. This guy got some pressures out there. It was just something we talked about when we first drafted him. Could he be a guy that can kind of, change things around and get skill going towards the pass rusher? Could he be a guy that kind of elevated his game that way? And he gave us a little bit of production from there. So I would like to see him brought back, man. I would hope that they be able to sign him to a solid deal that works for the team.
All right. And the other player that we really haven't touched on is Brian Poole. What kind of contract would you be willing to give him?
Man, I look at Brian Poole. I don't know. I think last year, I don't know how much he was making last year, but I remember somebody was
only like $3.5 million.
Yeah, but they were saying somewhere around like $4 million, $5 million, something like that. But like you said, $3.5 million, $4 million, $5 million. I'd be right around there. I think he should be brought back. This is a guy that really showed us something, particularly at that nickel spot. So I like him as a third corner here. We still have to address our number 1 and number 2 spots. I mean, hopefully Tremaine Johnson is going to be gone, this upcoming free agency, even though, his contract is pretty tough. We might have to eat some money to do that, but, they're probably going to let him go anyway. But Brian Poole is definitely a guy that I think that should be brought back.
All right, so last thing before we go to the callers, I guess looking at some of the guys that could be cap casualties, you mentioned Tremaine Johnson. Cutting him would be $12 million in dead money, only $3 million in cap savings. I still think that's probably going to happen. We already touched on Avery Williamson, $6.5 million in cap savings if they cut him, only $2 million in dead money. So I kind of like that idea. And then you have Quincy Enunwa, who only $5.4 million dead money, only $2.5 in cap savings. I wonder what's going to happen with that situation, whether or not they could reach an injury settlement, or if there's any future with him with the Jets.
Well, his situation, and this is something that I've talked about ad nauseum as well, when people talk about the wide receiver position and how, hey, we should keep Robbie, him and Quincy together would be a great tandem. We should just pay Robbie whatever. First off, I don't know if Quincy is ever going to play again. I really don't. And even when he was playing, he wasn't healthy. He was missing time, lots of time, every season for various injuries, whether it be his neck. I remember one season. The other season, it was something else where he was banged up. So I'm looking at this. He's got spinal stenosis. That sucks because I think he's a great athlete. I love Quincy, love the way he plays. He plays extremely hard, physical wide receiver, get the ball in his hands, man, and he runs with violence. But let me tell you something. I think it might be over for him. I really do. That's a hard injury to come back from. So with you have so much on the line, I don't think you can count on him to be there. So I'm hoping they come with an injury settlement, especially with some of the things that he leaked from the locker room as well. I wouldn't be surprised if they moved on from him, because it seems like, that if anything, might have sealed the deal. That definitely sealed the deal. When you're tweeting. I don't know
how injury settlements work, but I guarantee he's not giving a cent back to the Jets.
Yeah, he's posting pictures. He's telling everybody what's going on in there. You know what I'm saying? So I think that was probably the end of it right there. So I think we should move on from Quincy and continue to try to address his position. Man, I love that guy, and I wish him nothing but the best going forward.
Same, man. And the last two guys that we didn't touch on, Brian Winters, $7.2 million, all non-guaranteed, and Darryl Roberts, $6 million, non-guaranteed. Do you think those guys are going to be with the Jets next year?
Gone and gone. Okay, gone and gone.
Damn.
Roberts should be gone. Yeah, Roberts should be gone. I like Brian Winters. Good guy, but he's probably going to be gone as well. I would love to see us addressed, that guard spot there. And I think that we should be able to find someone in free agency or in the draft that should be able to fill that spot. All
right. So with that, we're going to go to the phones. And I know it's getting late, so I don't want to keep our first caller waiting too long. I know he has a tendency to, get a little tired as the evening wears on.
Come on, man.
What?
Come on, man. Look, he had a slip up, a little snafu, but I know that he's going to step back up this week. I know that he's going to turn it around, and he's going to show us what he's made of.
Steve, what's going on, man?
Hey, guys. How you doing tonight?
Steve, I just want to let you know, I told Tyson and I told Joe they need to give it a rest with all the jokes. I will not take their hate towards you lying down.
Well, listen. You know something, Kevin? Listen, I have always had respect from you from the first time when I met you from through the show, and from all the events that we've been to, and I'm always cool with Joe. And to be honest with you, you're already doing a much better job tonight than Tyson is. Okay?
Wow.
You're already doing a better job than Tyson is.
Appreciate that, man.
Sometimes
wow.
when I do get a little snoozy, it's because Tyson bores the hell out of me. That's his problem.
Whoa.
He bores the hell out of me. Because sometimes he has to repeat. He has to repeat the same. He has to repeat the same stuff over and over and over again.
Wow. All right, so Steve, who are some of your?
That's my message to Tyson. Hey, that's my message to Tyson.
I'll make sure he gets it.
Yeah, that's my message to Tyson.
All right, well, Steve, who are some of your sleepers to be brought back this offseason? What?
For players to keep in this offseason?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh, well, I mean, listen, when I look at this team, seeing whether to keep it this offseason, Brian Poole is definitely a player I want to keep because I think he did a great job filling in for Buster Screen last year. Because I've said it so many times on the show how many times I hated Buster Screen when he played for us. But it was just he's a player I want to keep. Another player I'm hoping that the Jets do keep is Jordan Jenkins as well. He is another player I want to keep. But I got to be honest with you about Robbie Anderson. And listen, Kevin, I know you love Robbie Anderson, and him and Sam have had a connection since Sam was a rookie. But here is the thing, dude. He is asking for way too much money. And here is the thing. I'm going to say this right now. Robbie Anderson is not a number one receiver. He's a good number two and a good slot receiver. He is not a number one receiver. And that's why for this upcoming free agency and draft class, I wouldn't mind, honestly, if the Jets went after a receiver in the draft. That is my opinion, but it's time to move on from Robbie.
Yeah. And Steve, first off, I want to thank you for calling in. All the cheap shots that people were trying to give you, I saw stuff on social media trying to get at you. I like that you just shouldered that and you kept it moving, man. You didn't allow anyone to bring you down. You kept on going. And look, you called in tonight and you're bringing nothing but fire as usual. You know what I'm saying? I expected this from you. I knew your greatness. I knew what you were going to bring to the table. And now come on, man. Come on, man. See, we always bringing up old stuff, man. That's the past. Let the past be the past, dude.
I'm ignoring everything. Kevin, I can't believe you're pushing those sound bites that Tyson does. Don't follow in Tyson's footsteps.
It's crazy. It's crazy, Steve, but it's all right, man, because you know what I'm saying? I'm here for you. I'm going to stand for you. I stand for the people, but I want to talk about this team with you, man, because you're already bringing the heat. You talked about Robbie Anderson. What do you think happens with Quincy and Newman, man?
To really be honest, I actually think the Jets should move on from Quincy as well. The thing is, listen, listen, Joe, I agree with you. I love Quincy Enunwa. He's done a lot of great things for this football team, but the problem is he's always hurt. And the neck injury that he has could be a career-ending injury. And honestly, when you have an injury, especially to your neck, it could cause problems with your spine. It could actually cause him to be paralyzed for the future. And the thing is, I don't want to see that with Enunwa. I think the safest thing to do is to just move on from him.
All right, and what kind of contract do you think Adams might get with the Jets, or do you even think they're going to get a deal done this offseason?
Oh, no, I think they're going to get a deal done in the offseason. It's just the thing is, listen, the Jets do have the cap space again this year. But the thing is that everyone's all saying, okay, Jamal Adams is not going to get his contract. Well, let me tell you, he deserves it. He's one of the best safeties in football. He's an all-pro safety. I mean, well,
so
let me ask you guys,
give me numbers.
If you were Joe Douglas, what kind of a contract would you guys give him?
No, I asked you that question. What kind of contract would you give him? What's it going to look like?
Well, let me see. Eddie Jackson got $20 million a year, right?
$20 million a year? No.
Now, how much did Eddie Jackson get? Because Eddie Jackson got a contract.
Well, I think Landon Collins got the biggest contract for a safety. I think it was 6 years, $90 million or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I can't believe still to this day the Redskins gave him that.
Well, I think...
And if you look on Twitter, Jamal Adams even said, word for word, he deserves to be the highest paid safety in all of football. And I just checked, Eddie Jackson, he got 4 years, $58 million.
14. Yeah, I think from what I remember, I think Eddie makes something like 14 or 15 million a season. I believe that's what it is.
Yeah, it comes out to like 14.5 per.
Yeah.
Let me see. Hang on one second. I'm going to give you guys an answer.
I just gave you the answer.
How would you feel about...
Well, I'm Jamal Adams. Offer me a contract.
He would get a 4-year deal, $68 million, $17 million a year.
Wait, you're only offering me 4 years, $58 million?
68.
68 million. Only 4 years?
Well, look, I don't know if the math is necessarily right there, 68, 70. Look, but either way, Steve's bringing the fire, okay? And I hear what Steve is saying. What he's saying is, listen,
Jamal Adams is going to sign for 4 years.
Listen, look. Steve's bringing the heat right now, and I hear what he's saying. I understand what's going on here. This guy's a football genius. He's saying to himself, I'm looking at Eddie Jackson's contract, and he knows he's going to have to match that. He's going to have to exceed it because, of course, Jamal Adams is going to want that. He's going to want to be one of the highest paid safeties in the league. So I think what you're probably going to have to do is go north of $58 million. So you're probably going to either do, 4 years, $60 million, or you're going to do 5 years, maybe 60, somewhere in that range. So you have to be higher than Eddie Jackson. And I think that's what Steve is trying to say, and I think he's right there. I think he's telling the truth. I think that's what Steve's bringing to the table, and I like it. I think that's what you're going to have to give Adams to sign because, again, everything that we hear, considers himself the best safety in the league. He is definitely one of the best safeties in the league. And
I'm sorry. I don't think you guys are close. I mean, Landon Collins signed for $84 million on his contract. Jamal Adams is going to want to top that.
Well, listen. I don't know.
You don't think he's going to want to top that, especially with the new CBA contract coming up? Isn't the salary cap supposed to go up like another 40% in the next few years? He's a smart businessman. He knows what he can get as a free agent.
He is a smart businessman, and he does know what he wants as a free agent. But again, go ahead, Steve.
At the end of the day, whether what contract he gets, I just hope that this contract does get done before training camp starts in July, which I do think is going to happen before July, but I really, really hope that he gets the contract before training camp starts in July. And you know something, Kevin, you touched on this earlier in the show, and it's actually something that I definitely agree with you on this. I feel your pain, too. 9 years for us that we haven't made the playoffs. Dude, I know that feeling, too, and trust me, I have the same feelings as you do. 9 years of not making the playoffs now. But you know something, though? The 2019 season officially ended on Sunday. Now the 2020 New York Jets season officially begins with this offseason coming up. Hopefully Joe Douglas will do his job. Hopefully get the players at the right price. Get the contract situation done with Adam. It's just,
and then September rolls around and Adam Gase is still the head coach and it all goes to hell. So, get up.
That is the only thing I do fear is that Adam Gase tries to interfere. Adam Gase's job is to only be the head coach of to be the head coach of the team.
Yeah, he told us in his intro presser he had no interest in having anything to do with player personnel decisions, which is exactly why he ran the previous GM out of town after 2 months. So, I believe every word that Adam Gase says.
Yeah. Also, one thing is, because one thing I'll just mention really quickly, for the draft, this upcoming year, I really, really am big if the Jets also do go after offensive line or wide receiver, because the thing is, we got to build an offense around Sam. I mean, we got to build that offense around Sam, because we can get an offense built around Sam. This offense will be good. If we get the line that will protect him, it's going to be great. And if we also get like a wide receiver for him in this draft class, like there's a couple of guys like C.D. Lamb and Jerry Jeudy who are very, very good players. Those are definitely some players to look at for this upcoming draft. So we're going to see what happens, guys, as the season goes on, this offseason goes on.
All right, Steve, good call, man. Thank you for taking the time to call in. Way to stay awake throughout the entire call, and we'll talk to you Tuesday night.
Come on, man.
Yeah, thank you. And you know what, listen, you know what?
It's approaching 9 o'clock.
Tell Tyson, you can do me a favor. You can tell Tyson this is a message from me. Tell Tyson that unfortunately he was too gutless to come on the show tonight, even though I know he's probably busy, but I guess he just didn't have the guts tonight, so.
Wow. Steve, have a lovely night. Joe, I'm not a betting man, but I'm willing to bet that Steve's probably going to pay for that call on Tuesday night.
Well, look, Steve, I love Steve. I think he's a great caller. He brought fire. He's going to speak his mind, and then that's what he had to say, about Tyson. I don't necessarily agree. I like Tyson as well. That's my guy. But, Steve spoke his mind, and he's got a lot on his mind. But he brought fire about the team, which is what I like. He had a lot of great takes on a new one, great takes on Robbie Anderson in that situation, even the safety position. He had some great takes there, like you said, north of Eddie Jackson. So I like what Steve's call overall, and I like what he brought, man. He bounced back. He didn't let everyone get in his way. He shouldered it, and he stepped up.
Yeah, I just don't know if I'd be calling anybody out after I, fell asleep for 20 minutes on the air previous week. But
look, man,
we'll move on.
Listen. It is what it is. He sounded like a 68 Chevelle, but tonight he started up that Chevelle, and he drove in the right direction. That's all that matters, okay? That's all that matters, man. He brought fire takes. He did his thing, and he was right, man. He had a lot of great stuff. So salute to Steve, and again, I want to thank him for calling in.
He still didn't give me any numbers on an Adams contract, but anyway. Next up. Yeah, go ahead.
You heard him. You know what he said. Listen, north of Eddie Jackson. Eddie, like you said, Eddie makes what? 14, like you said, 14.5, somewhere in that range. You're going to have to be north of that, especially on a 4-year deal. You were talking about Landon Collins. Yes, Landon Collins, $84 million, but that was over 6 years. That's why Eddie Jackson, I believe, is considered the highest paid safety ever in history. So, yeah. We're definitely going to have to pay him somewhere in the range of that Eddie Jackson contract.
All right. Next up on the phones, we have Mr. NYSF Mag. Jay, what's going on, man?
Mm-hmm. Steve brought the straight-up fire tonight, man. He was talking. He was not having any of that. Tyson in Florida, he's like, I hope you're listening on the beach, Tyson, because I'm going to just bring the noise tonight. He reminded me of, like, when I was younger, when I was a little kid, and my little brother would be out of the house, and I'd be talking trash about it. He'd come back, and then you never talking that stuff when he gets back home.
Or the kid yelling, hold me back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'll punk my brother. As soon as my brother gets home, I'm going to tell him what's up. As soon as he gets home, I'm telling him what's up. My brother gets home, you're like, nothing. Crickets chirping. Nobody's talking anything. Oh, I can't wait to see if Steve brings that again on Tuesday.
So, Jay, you were actually out there at the Chiefs Super Bowl party, right? How was that?
Oh, God, I'm still recovering from that. I'm too old for that, man. I'm getting too old. Joe, it's like the tailgates, man. Like, I used to recover so quickly. Bacon, egg, and cheese and a coffee was all you needed. It took me 3 days to recover from that party. I was until 5 in the morning on a Sunday night, Monday morning. I can't do that anymore, man. I turned 40 this year. No more of that. I can't ever do it. But it was fun, man. I got to give props to the Chiefs. So at one point, let me tell you where I was at. I was watching the game at the Chiefs hotel, and it was I was with the whole crew that was setting the party up and everything. They're having the party regardless. And of course, I'm rooting for the Chiefs because I'm thinking it'll be a much more fun night than some kind of loser party, and all this whole somber vibe in here. So they came back, they won. And the fans started showing up, and the team showed up, and the owners and all the families and everything. It was just a great vibe there. But that said, being a Jets fan there and seeing that, it's tough, man. It's like you start to think like, I would close my eyes and hear the cheering, but then I would be thinking to myself, man, like, imagine if this was our party. Imagine if this was like, instead of Patrick Mahomes on stage, it was Sam Darnold. Instead of, these Chiefs fans, Andy Reid leading the Chiefs, the Chiefs chant that they were doing, like, if that was Fireman Ed up there leading a Jets chant. And it's like, man, one of these days it's just got to happen for us, man. And I want it to happen, like, I told Kev this story. I think I told Tyson also, but at one point there was a guy that was, there was a Chiefs fan there, and he was being wheeled through the crowd. He was on a wheelchair. He had balloons on his wheelchair, and it was his 100th birthday that day. And I was thinking, man, that's cool. This guy spent his 100th birthday, got to see his team win the championship. But then I started thinking, you know what? I hope that's not me when the Jets finally win one, man. I hope I'm young enough where I can enjoy the party and everything, because, that's, God, man, it's got to happen one of these years. But it's been, I'm 40 now. It hasn't happened yet, and I'm just waiting for the day. But I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, not with this clown Adam Gase around. But we're going to have to wait a couple more years before we even start to get some hope again.
Mm.
So what are your expectations for this offseason?
It's the same thing that we've been talking about. I mean, it's going to be the Jets taxed. They're going to sign. I think they're going to open up the bank and get if he wants to come here, or if one of the guys wants to come here, one of the top offensive linemen that are available. I don't foresee extending Jamal Adams. I don't think it's going to happen because I don't think. I think that, like, it's an interesting spot that the Jets are in right now because they technically have control over Jamal for 3 years. So the question is, do you want to then – you have so many holes. Like, wouldn't you be better off drafting, bringing in some guys, and using that money when you already got Jamal under control for another, potentially 3 years if you're going to tag him on that third year, as opposed to just handing him money now?
He will not be at training camp without a new contract. He will not be at training camp without a new contract. 100%.
I agree. I agree with you. And see, that's the game, because it's like if you're not gonna extend him, then you better be prepared to have a very upset Jamal Adams around if he's even around. And there are some positives of extending him now because it'll be cheaper to extend him now than it will be to sign him in a year or two. So. Or to re-sign him in a year or two. I mean, so there's maybe he concedes a little bit, knowing that the Jets have some leverage. They don't necessarily have to give him top, crazy dollar. If knowing that they don't, that they do have his control for 3 more years. It's a tough spot. I don't really know what you do. I mean, if he's willing to not completely bleed them and sign something that's a little bit more team friendly, I just don't see that happening. So, I just don't. So, I mean, that's where we're at. So, I'm not that. I think that there's still a very decent possibility that fans are going to have to get themselves ready for that. It's possible that we may have seen Jamal Adams the last game as a New York Jet. I mean, I think it's very possible because I don't really see any way to give Jamal Adams $20 million. How much of that cap room of our cap room that would eat up this year, and then on top of that, sign a top offensive lineman and and fill other holes. I mean, Jamal Adams was here this year and we sucked, right? So
yep.
And he was an All-Pro. So if he gives you the same thing next year, just at a much higher salary, and you can't fill those holes, then what do we have? So I just don't know, man. It's not that I don't want Jamal here. I really want Jamal. I love Jamal Adams, but I don't know, man. I just don't know.
Yeah.
We're going to have to see if Joe Douglas can get creative.
Yeah, and look, and first off, Jay, I want to thank you for calling in, man. And I've heard those arguments as well. That's something that a lot of people have talked about is like, listen, he's a great safety, but when you look at the holes in this football team, when you look what we have, this guy's going to want top dollar. And I'm talking about he's going to want to be the highest paid safety in the league. He's already said it. And we all know that Jamal he's just not going to settle for less. He's not. And I think that was probably one of the reasons that they were exploring trade offers already. So if they were already exploring trade offers, prior to the trade deadline, I think they'd still be open to moving on from him if the right team were to come with the right package, especially when we're talking about all the other issues that we're going to have to address, this coming offseason. So I love Jamal. I'd like to see him here. I think he's a great player, hell of a playmaker. But with all the hoes, I could see this going elsewhere, going to another spot where, like you said, he could be gone, this coming off season, and we could be taking that money and going elsewhere with it. Again, because like you said, and I brought this up in the past too, is we've got control of him for these next coming years. We don't have to give him a contract. Will he hold out? He might. But we still hold his fate in our hands. It's not like it's a pressing thing. We have to get the job done now. But I'm telling you, it could get ugly if we don't, though. So if we're not going to that contract, you're probably going to have to trade him and move on from him because it's going to get nasty.
Joe, I see Jet fans all the time. See, this is something that people don't seem to realize. See, I see Jet fans all the time on social media, and they talk about you got to take care of your own first. So you got to bring back, you got to extend Jamal Adams, and you got to bring back Robbie Anderson this year. And I don't think that people necessarily understand, like again, and I have to go back to it. We sucked this year with Robbie Anderson on a rookie free agent rookie contract, and Jamal Adams on a rookie contract, and now you want to what? Eat up, like we have like 60, 70 million right now, and 60 million or something. Obviously, you're going to get a little more than that, but say you have 60 million right now, you're going to extend Robbie Anderson and give him $15 million and give Jamal Adams $15 million and eat up $30 million with guys that were already here, and then how the hell and then those same people are saying, and then we'll go out and we'll sign an offensive lineman. Fine, there's another $15 million. So now you have $15 million total to sign your rookie class that you draft this year, plus fill all these holes. You won't have enough players on the roster. You can't do it.
Yeah.
So, there's just not enough money to fill the holes, and there's not enough draft picks. So, I don't know, man. Yeah. I mean, big money contracts, like, I'm a proponent of spending money on an offensive lineman, but you're not going to get Robbie Anderson's gone. People just got to be ready to accept that fact. Yeah. He's gone. They're not bringing Robbie Anderson back. And Jamal Adams, man, I don't know. You just don't know yet. I mean, you got to see how much does Joe Douglas actually value Jamal Adams? Does he value him enough to give him, a 5-year, $70 million deal, $75 million deal? I mean, that's a lot of money to commit when you have him on his rookie deal still and under control for 3 years. So I just don't how do you decide that now is the time to do that when you have your current situation? You may say to Jamal, "Look, man, we love you and we want to have you around, but we just can't afford it right now to make you the highest paid safety in football. You want to win? You want to win? You want to have players around you, or do you want to be the highest paid safety in football? Because you keep saying you want to win, but sometimes you don't get to have both, or maybe they'll trade him.
Yeah. And you're right on that one, Jay. Like I said, people have been kicking that around. There's different opinions from different sides. But like you said, we'll see this offseason if Joe Douglas does value him that much. Or hell, even if Joe Douglas values that position to be paid like that, because the argument everyone goes to is, hey, it's not a premium position. A lot of people scream that. We need to get better at premium positions. So I want to go to the cornerback spot with you, though, man. What do you think should be done with Brian Poole? And if we are trying to bring him back and sign him, what kind of deal do you think we should give him?
Brian Poole, I definitely want Brian Poole back, because if you don't bring Brian Poole back, now you need 2 corners and a slot guy, right? I mean, people are all excited about Bless Austin, but I mean, let's not get too crazy penciling him in as a starter yet. That guy's coming off some major injuries and has only really played 7 games or something as a pro, and the coaching staff benched him. So we have nothing there, nothing, zero. We have nothing at cornerback. So if you don't bring back Poole, I think you got to bring back Poole. I think you got to get him signed. You had him on a 1-year deal this year. He didn't have too much interest out there. He will have some interest this year for sure. I think that you could give him a 2-year. You guys think 2 years, $14 million gets it done? $7 million a year?
Oof. Maybe close.
Yeah, I think around there.
Is that about right, you think?
Somewhere around there.
Is that too much to pay him?
He's young enough. He'll get 3 years, I think.
Yeah, you give him around 3 years, maybe guarantee the first 2 or something like that. And I think that
probably similar to what Darryl Roberts signed for. It was like 3 years, $18 million or something like that.
Yeah. So I mean, that's the type of deal I'd like to get him back at. But who knows? Free agency. Problem, it's great when you sign a guy in a 1-year deal and you get that kind of production, but you got to figure out if he plays well, which is obviously what you want. Then you got to pony up, and you may lose him. So who knows what a guy like that's value is? If some team values him, higher than we do. Let's say some team offers him $10 million a year, you're not going to match that. So I don't know, man. It's interesting.
All right, and
it's going to.
Oh, dude, you have no idea. One guy we haven't even talked about yet is Le'Veon Bell. I mean, do you think he's going to be back next year?
Dude, I think I don't know. I mean, all these guys, you just don't know. You don't know. I mean, I can't see how you get out of Le'Veon Bell, though. Honestly, what point if you trade Le'Veon Bell, you're paying his salary to play for somebody else. But why? What are you going to do? Who are you going to trade him to? What are you going to get back?
The locker room. They don't care what they get back. They want to get rid of him. The distraction of not having to answer questions every week about why he's not using them more.
I'd like to get rid of the distraction of the dumbass that can't figure out a way to use it. Let's get rid of that guy first. How about that?
That's not going to happen.
There's the distraction.
That's not going to happen.
I'm distracted by Adam Gase, man. Come on. We're going to let's get rid of the Hall of Fame talent and keep the bum-ass coach because he doesn't want to have the distraction of figuring out why he can't use him better. Give me a break. I understand that's probably what's going to happen. God.
That's exactly what happened in Miami.
Mets, Jets, Knicks, man. Just welcome to the abyss.
What a triumvirate.
I can't take it. It's just
the worst 3 owners in professional sports, and we root for all of them.
All 3. What do we do to deserve it? I don't know, man. I just can't take too much more of it. But look, you know what? The good thing is my expectations on the Jets have been lowered to this point. I'm just not going to get myself all frustrated and angry anymore because just like the Knicks, I have accepted what the Jets are at this point. I'm not going to try and change it. I'm not going to fly any more planes or put any more trucks out there or any nonsense like that. It's just not worth it, man. The time and energy is not worth it. This team is going to do what they're going to do. Hopefully they'll make the right moves. I'll just sit back and hope for the best. But just I'm like that pessimist now. I've changed, man. This last season changed me because we came into last offseason with all this optimism and everybody was telling us we were wrong about Gase, except for Joe. Joe never bought in, but everybody else was saying, listen, everyone's crazy. Adam Gase, he was just a product of being a bad organization, and, we don't know. Everybody knows better than whatever, and we got sold a bill of goods, and, and now it's like, I just can't just get myself all excited, man. I'm not even really excited for the offseason, man. I'm just going in this offseason with just like this, because just like you said before, Kev, even if we go and we make all the right moves and Joe Douglas goes and signs some great guys, we still have Adam Gase coaching him, man. I have no faith in him. Zero. I have zero faith. So,
listen. And Jay, I'm right there with you. Everyone knows how I feel about Adam Gase. But at the same time, if we do get the right talent in here, the coach after him is going to come in, with the cupboard not being bare. He's going to have guys that he can utilize, guys that he can put in the system and make things move. So that's something that you could look at as well and saying, okay, hey, look,
for sure.
It's going to be on Adam Gase. Either you sink or swim, with this talent that you're going to be given. And if you sink, we'll move on from you, and we'll get a guy that's going to come in here and really utilize these offensive weapons that we have. And I'm hoping that Le'Veon's around, but I don't have a lot of faith that he is going to be around at that time. There's a big possibility that he could be gone.
That's why I don't know if the new GM, if the new head coach is even going to have talent, because Adam Gase is going to get rid of all the talent that he doesn't use.
It is what it is.
At least this Sunday, hopefully we'll get to enjoy some good football, all right?
Guardians, baby. Guardians. We finally got it. We got a 0-0 team to root for, man. A 500 team. I love it.
So Guardians.
I'm looking forward to it, Kev. Yeah, me and Kev are going to be on the field. We'll be getting some great pictures and everything. I'm looking forward to my guys from the Guardians. They've been really cool with us. I'm super happy to it's nice. It's a nice feeling to be appreciated and respected by we get that respect and appreciation from other teams. I kind of understand why the Jets don't necessarily love me. It's not an unfair take on their part, but I'm passionate. I love the team. I expect better of them. But the Guardians, yeah, it's gonna be fun, man. I'm a little February tailgating and MetLife Stadium in the cold weather with a meaningful game. It'd be interesting. Doesn't happen too often.
Should be fun, man. All right, I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, man. I'll see you Sunday.
Yep. Yeah, just going back to Adams really quick, the whole contract saga this offseason, it's going to fascinate me because, I mean, you know what this guy brings to your locker room. He's already the face of your team. You even have beat reporters that say he's more of a face to your franchise than Sam Darnold is, your quarterback.
Yeah.
So, you already know he's pissed off at the fact that he was, quote-unquote shopped. So you're going to pay for that. Mm-hmm. You're going to pay for, the 3 years that, he's been a part of losing football. He is not giving any kind of discount to the Jets to stay here. The idea that, he's going to take some kind of hometown discount, that is not happening. So, yeah. I mean, if the Cowboys call up tomorrow and say, hey, we'll give you a first-round pick and 2 number 2s, it's hard to imagine Douglas turning that down, especially knowing what Adams' contract demands are probably going to be.
Yeah. First off, I want to thank Jay for calling in, man. One heck of a guy. I love hearing from him on a weekly basis. But, I'm right there. When you look at the situation, like you said, he's going to make us pay, for being shopped. He wants to be the highest paid safety in the league. The question is, are we in a position to pay for that? We've got so many issues on this football team. Making a safety the highest paid contract, especially with the clock ticking on Sam's rookie deal as well. I know a lot of people are kind of losing sight with that. I have not. There's going to come a time where we're going to have to pay him franchise quarterback money, and if you look at where that stuff is going, man, these guys are getting crazy amounts of money, these days to play QB as a franchise QB of a team. So we've got to figure that stuff out. But man, I don't know if the Cowboys call up. I think it's hard for the Jets to refuse that offer. I really, really do, especially when you can take those things and continue to build your football team, whether it be applying that to weapons, on your offense, or even continuing, to bolster your defense with those second rounders, getting yourself some pass rushers, or hell, it's still, getting yourself a safety and a pass rusher with that, in the draft, because there's such a wealth of talent there. So those tough decisions, but, you're definitely going to have to make them. And again, we still hold Adam's fate in our hands. We don't have to give him a new deal this year. I think, like Jay said, and I said as well earlier, when before the offseason, we still got like 3 years where we control what can happen with him. So we'll see where it goes.
Man, yeah, I understand going after premium spots and everything and, not overpaying a player that's not in a premium position. I just struggle with the idea of getting rid of a generational talent like Adams when you're a team that is, struggling for talent. I mean, you can't make it any more simple. Well, I mean, you need talent, and he's one of the more talented players in all of football. He's a difference maker. He's an impact player, even though he's not, the quote-unquote premium position. So the idea of trading him just to, stockpile picks in the hopes of drafting somebody good, I don't know.
Well, that's the punishment you pay when you do the things that we've done over the years. When you blow through drafts and you don't draft correctly and you do dumb stuff in free agency, this is where we're at. When you, again, we talked about it last week where we were saying, are we out of the rebuild? Are we going into another rebuild? There's reason why there's confusions there because this team was never built correctly, was never rebuilt correctly, honestly. That's why we have the issues that we have. That's why we're talking about getting rid of Adams right now. We took him. He should be a guy that's a staple. We should already have a pass rusher. But because you keep blowing out mid-round picks, McCagnon, we have issues there because you continue to not do what you need to do in free agency to continue to foster, growth within some of these players. We have issues like that here. So you look at Adams and that guy becomes a casualty because of the issues that we have.
All right, we'll continue on with the phone lines, and next up we have our good friend Tyrone. Ty, what's going on, man?
What's up, fellas? What's going on with you, man?
Not too much, man. How you doing?
Hey, bro, I can't complain. I'm going to tell Steve something, bro. Hey, Steve, don't do it, bro. I'm telling you, Tyson's going to burn you up Tuesday, bro.
Man, come on.
Tyson's gonna burn him up, Joe. You set that man up for failure, man. You wrong, Joe.
What?
You know how Tyson do, man. You already know how Tyson do. Tyson's probably cracking jokes right now about Steve, man. I'm telling you.
Listen, man. Listen, I didn't. Steve said that. You know, I will stand for him. I'll tell you that right now. I'll stand for him just like I stand for all the people, because that's what I do. You know, I'm the man of the people. But he said what he had to say. You know, Tyson, you know, went after him, and he came right back. He's tired of getting bullied. He's tired of getting pushed around. So he stood his ground. I mean, you know, you respect that, don't you?
How you tired of getting bullied when the man's not on the phone, bro? You can't get bucked with a man when he ain't on the phone, bro. You got to do that with Tyson on the phone.
And that's the second time he's done that.
All of a sudden he's brave today. Come on, man.
Well, you know,
I love you, Steve, but pick your battles, baby. Pick your battles, Bung Butterfly.
Listen, he woke up today, and enough was enough. That's what it was. You know, he woke up, and he said that time's done. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to stand up, and I'm going to say something. You know, and we'll see what happens when Ty comes back, you know, how it's addressed. But I know that Steve, you know, he's going to stand. He's going to stand. You know, and I respect that.
Tuesday should be interesting. But let's get to business, fellas.
Let's talk about the team, Tyrone. You know, I want to go there. Steve's a great guy, but you know, let's move on from him and the issues that he's had. You know, with getting some sleep here and there. I want to talk to you about Jordan Jenkins, man. What do you think happens with him? What kind of deal do you think the Jets could offer him to get him back here to re-sign?
You know, I'm gonna say like one thing about Double J. He's been amazing. We drafted him. He's came in. He's produced every year. He's got better every year, and I hope he doesn't leave. I'm thinking, you know, 3 years. You know, maybe 18 million, 20 million. I don't know. 6.5 might get it done, but I don't know. I mean, I think that the market's gonna be big for a player that comes in, gets his job done, and grinds. You know, the bad part about it is we're in so much financial hell right now, especially with, you know, having cap money, but we need so many players. So if you let Double J go, you got to replace Double J with the same kind of quality talent. If you let Jamal go, you got to replace him with the same kind of quality talent. If you let, you know, Poole go, it's really crazy, man, because you have to train some of these guys. You got to get the offensive line better. It's kind of scary, bro. Like, you know, it's kind of like you want to break the whole thing down and rebuild it because it's not going to be fixed in one season. So I'm kind of nervous, man. But I'm hoping Double J comes back. But I don't know if $6 or $7 million is going to do it for him. I think it should, but we don't know yet.
And what is your confidence level in Joe Douglas to kind of like be able to execute his vision for this offseason without the interference of whether it's Gase or ownership, you know, trying to meddle in some of those decisions?
You know what? I mean, Prime Time, I'm going to be kind of honest with you. I think he's going to be okay, man. You know, I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. I think that, you know what I'm saying, we're going to really find out with this draft and this offseason, you know, what kind of man he is. I think the draft will be, I think he'll find us one or two good players in the draft. I think that, you know, with him and Hogan and, you know, him being friends with Todd McShay, I think they're going to be able to find some talent, man, in the later rounds. That's been the biggest problem for us. You know, I'm really waiting to see what he does free agency, bro. This is going to be amazing. This is going to either start off really good or go really bad, really fast. And you know, I think that whatever decision bro, it has to be, bro. Like, you understand? If he doesn't get a guard or a tackle, we're screwed. Okay. Because there's no way in the draft you can draft 3 offensive linemen, bro, when we need everything else. You know, that's just impossible. It can be done, but I don't see it, bro. So you got to get at least 1 or 2 quality players, not mid-level players like Mac would do. You have to bring some really quality players in here. Now, the thing with Jamal, you have to figure out what you can do with Jamal. You know, and Jay just said it best. And Joe, you said it as well. You can trade Le'Veon Bell to pay him to play somewhere else. That makes no logical sense. You know what I'm saying? That's just retarded. You know, you have to figure out what you're going to do with Robbie. If you let Robbie walk, because, I mean, you know, it's crazy, man, because, like, to me, the most important pieces to me is, you know, you figure out a way to keep Jamal happy. You figure out a way to get the offensive line built in, getting 1 or 2 key players in, and also retaining some of the players that we have. Plus plus get ready for the draft and fix holes and needs. But we need, like, 6 spots. You know, it's crazy. We need 4 spots on the offensive line right now. The only person that we have is Harris. We need 4 spots on the offensive line. That's unheard of, man. That's nuts. You have $81 million, man. I don't care how you cut that pie up. It's not going to be enough to fix every single thing, man. I mean, this is the reality that we have. But if he plays this right, if he drafts right, if he gets the right players in 1 or 2 years, we can see that. Now, I know as Jet fans, man, because I'm sick of it myself. I'm sick of the losing. I'm sick of not competing. And I'm so sick of everybody talking about 6-2. We had the wackest damn schedule ever. And, we lost to Miami and Cincinnati, man. I don't want to hear nothing about 6-2, bro.
And Jacksonville.
I don't want to hear that. Yeah, that's just a joke, man. Stop saying that. But let's follow the Buffalo plan. Let's follow the coach plan. Let's draft. Let's get good players in here. And the only thing we're going to need is a good coach. That's the only thing that we're lacking. But you have the talent. But if he goes and fix the offensive line and maybe get another receiver and maybe even retain Robbie or get 2 receivers in the draft, and make our offense better, defense is going to struggle. I mean, we need cornerbacks, bro. Listen, if you don't bring Poole back, we need 3 cornerbacks, bro. How is that going to work? We need 3 cornerbacks. 3. We need an outside linebacker. You know what I'm saying? The only thing we don't need is defensive linemen. Everything else we need. We need 3 starting corners. We need two cornerbacks in the nickel. Come on, bro. That's a joke.
Well, here's the thing. I think more than anything else, they need that high end, whether it's the shutdown corner, the legitimate stud pass rusher, the shutdown left tackle. I think that's what they need. You're not going to get 3 or 4, top starters on the offensive line in one offseason. You're not going to find 2 or 3, starting caliber corners in one offseason. But if they can find that one high-end guy, and suddenly now you have guys like Arthur Millette and Bless Austin in that lesser role going up against receivers that are, more on their skill level, I think you can win that way. Same thing with the offensive line. Like, you're not going to replace all 4 guys, but if suddenly Beachum goes from the left tackle to right tackle, I think that's a good fit. If suddenly Alex Lewis has a stud left tackle right next to him, I think that helps him out. So I think it's just about finding the right fit to elevate some of those other guys that we have, and obviously, the coaching part of it as well, which unfortunately I don't think is going to change.
But see, my whole point of the whole point of the matter is this: I think I think that the best way with the cornerbacks is bring back Millette. And I'm sorry, man, I'm not high on Bless like everybody else is. I'm just not. I didn't see enough from him to really impress me to look like he's going to be locked in. I saw more from Millette. I saw more from the guy that we got from Baltimore. That them guys played well. I say draft a good cornerback. And, maybe even draft 2 receivers, get you 2 offensive linemen, get you a great left tackle, and get you a decent guard or center combo to come in there, or sign somebody in the offseason and build your lineup that way. This is what you have to do. Like, listen, we can't fix every piece, but if our line can go from 32nd to 15th, I'm happy. You feel me? If our defense, which was ranked number 3 against the run, and we can figure out a way to slow down the passing game, then we have improved. With the players that we have a great defensive-minded coach, but you have to give him tools. But in the same way with the offense, I think Sam is going to grow if you give him time and you give this kid a chance to grow. But you can't make Sam get better if you subtract somebody like Robbie. He's going to lose Quincy. So all he has is Crowder. You're going to bring in 2 rookie receivers, or you're going to sign somebody off the street that's not really that good. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't make any sense. And expect this guy to perform better. If you have a great line and you have somebody like Le'Veon Bell, draft another back to take the pressure off of Le'Veon, run the football like all good football teams do. This is how you win football games. But our coach can't figure out how to use one of the best running backs in the league. That's just puzzles me to death. But it's what we have. It's the reality of what we have right now.
Yeah, first off, Tyrone, I want to thank you for calling in again, man. When you said run the ball, I just laugh because we all know Adam Gase doesn't do that. Like, that's just not part of his thing. I hear what you're saying about, Robbie Anderson. I get it. He's a solid talent, but to me, if he's asking for $15 million, which is what we've heard repeatedly, he wants number 1 wide receiver money. I don't see how you pay that guy that, because he's not a number 1 wide receiver. Yeah,
but you don't. You
don't. Yeah, exactly. So, you definitely got to move on from him. I would like to see him back here, but I think that, if that's what he's asking for, he wants number 1 wide receiver money. With this wide receiver, depth being so big in the draft, there's so many great wide receivers there. There's such a depth of talent there. I think that's where we could end up going for wide receivers. For me, I think, like you said as well, and you hit the nail on the head, was addressing the offensive line in free agency is a must. You've got to get at least one guy. You know, I love Brandon Scherff. I'd love to have him here. Yeah, two. I'm just saying, at least get one. I think two. I'm thinking three. You know, I would like to see at least three brought in. Not, you don't have to get three top tier guys, but you can get at least two of the top tier guys and maybe a guy right under that top tier and still be solid. But there's some people throwing around, man, a lot of scenarios around here. One that I'm seeing is the Jets still kind of being interested in trading for Trent Williams. Would you like to see the Jets do that?
For a third-round pick, absolutely. Absolutely for a third-round pick, but he's not leaving. I mean, it'd be nice for a third-round pick. That'd be wonderful. But you still got to give him a contract. If you trade for him, he wants a new contract. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying go after Conklin, go after the guard from either the Patriots or old boy from the Lions. Listen. Before Mac does anything in free agency, sign one of them linemen. I don't care what they want, whatever it costs, because you know, man, guys can manipulate numbers to be whatever you want them to be. You can give these guys a big signing bonus and push stuff off. Look, the Cowboys been doing it for years. Patriots do it for years. It's ways around it. Look at the Chiefs. Bro, they have the best offensive talent in the league, and they pay everybody. They're about to give Patrick Mahomes $40 million a year. Come on, bro, stop playing. You can do whatever you want to do. It's how you want to set it up. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, you have to fix the line. It starts there. This has been a problem for 10 years. If you go get 2 or 3 offensive linemen or 2 good, offensive linemen in the free agency, then I don't mind you taking the number 11 pick or moving back and grabbing a receiver. I don't have a problem with that. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Or if you want to double down, grab another tackle and say, you know what, we're sitting on something for the future. But I think that, what having Hogan and Douglas, I think these guys are going to have a good draft. I really do. I think they're going to hit on some really good players. They're going to bring some guys in that's going to really be able to compete and be better and be a gritty football team. It's just our issue is can the coach coexist? And I think Douglas is here for 6 years, so he's going to outstay Adams' tenure. You know what I'm saying? So he's playing. I don't think that Adams ever going to be able to stop him because he knows Adam is day to day. Joe Douglas here for 6 years. He's not going anywhere. You're not going to fire a GM with 5 years left on his contract, what you're paying him. You're not going to do that. So he's going to get at least 3 or 4 years. So I think Adam Gates next year, if he dismantles the team, if he doesn't shape up, then he's out of here. You know what I'm saying? Because you're building for the future. San Francisco's a blueprint, bro. Listen, they just showed you what to do. You build your offensive line up. You get a good quarterback. Look, they didn't have great receivers, but they still got the job done. They ran the football. You know what I mean? It's just ways around that. Look at Baltimore, same example. These guys draft good every year. They get good players in late rounds, and that's been our problem, man. We've been cutting 3rd, 4th, 5th round picks. Bro, in 1 year, we cut our 2nd, 3rd, and 4th round picks in the draft. You know what I'm saying? Remember the 1 year? Yeah. Remember the 1 year we had 12 draft picks, and ain't nobody in the league no more? Come on, nobody. Bro. We had 12 picks.
We cut our last 3rd round pick within 2 months of drafting him?
Right, listen,
hey
Joe, you didn't even have to go there, Joe. You could have left that. That's a next year conversation. We talk about that next year. We don't even want to bring that up, bro. That's just But
look, I got to keep it real. But one thing I wanted to ask you though, man, and then I'll hand it off to Kev. But is there a free agent that you don't want to see the Jets have anything to do with? Like you don't want to see us sign him, you don't want him on the team?
I'm going to be honest with you, man, Joe, really. I'm going to say no because nobody – I'm going to be honest with you. Everyone acts like we have this amazing team that free agents going to run and come to. We don't. We're not the kind of organization that shows stability. We don't have a stable coach in a stable environment. You have some good players, yes, you do, but we don't have something that's enticing. The allure of New York is not going to bring in a good player that wants to come to a bad team. So I think that any player that wants to come here and play here is going to be for the money. So anybody that you're going to pay a lot of money to has to be a good player and probably has to be a good character. So I think that I don't think at all. I think that us going out here trying to just like, we're going to be able to woo somebody in, or we almost got that person. I don't want to hear that. Just sign them. Give them what they wanted. If that person makes us better, then sign that person. You know what I'm saying? So now it's nobody I really think in the free agency that I really don't want. But Brian.
Yeah, so you wouldn't be upset if they offered, a big contract to, let's say, an Amari Cooper or somebody like that?
Nah, you know what? I don't think we have a chance with Amari Cooper anyway. Listen, man, you gonna get Amari Cooper with no offensive line, nah, bro. Man, listen, J.O. had planes and buses, all that, man. Life Stadium, man. Nah, it's not gonna happen,
saying,
bro.
yeah.
You know. Nah,
well, I see a lot of people saying that, let's offer Amari Cooper, a 5-year contract at, $90 million or something like that. I'm like, wait, hold on. We still need an offensive line. There's a draft class with 20 wide receivers. Like, that's a position where I would try to avoid in free agency.
I would rather pay Robbie than pay Amari Cooper. You know what I'm saying? I just think that to me, he's a good player. I think Jerry Jeudy's a better player than him right now. I just, just these players of what we need. You know what I'm saying? And we don't need fast receivers. We need receivers that run good routes because you know what I'm saying. Gates doesn't really, Robbie is a home run hitter, but his biggest gains are 10, 12-yard passes. You know what I'm saying? That's what Sam needs. Get the ball in his hand quick. That's what Sam does best. But when Sam improvises, that's what Sam's amazing. So if you give Sam a chance to listen, this is the craziest thing that really shows how bad Gates is. Okay, you have long developing plays, right, with a bad offensive line. I mean, bro, that's like retarded. I mean, it's rhetorical, man. You're telling me that hey, Robbie, you want a double in, double out, run deep. But Sam, we're going to give you 4 seconds to get this done. But Sam hiked the ball there in the backfield, bro. You have a play, bro. I know you guys have watched games, bro. When they leave the defensive end or the outside linebacker unblocked, and you want Sam to
on a 3-man rush.
Make him miss. Yes, exactly. You want Sam, make him miss. That's part of the play. Make him miss. You juke him, then go deep. Come on, man. Stop playing with me, man. It's just,
man.
like I said, man, it's certain things. I think somebody I do want him to go after, Beasley, old boy from the Falcons. I would love to see him. Yes, I would love to see him bought in, bro. I think, listen, man, I think with Greg Williams will find a way to use him, man. And that might be the pass rusher that we've been looking. Listen, I want everybody to stop for 1 second. Listen, I want a pass rusher. I've been wanting one for about 10 years, right? I could care less, and I'm going to say this right now. I could care less about the pass rusher. And I'm saying something that I know is going to make Joe, I'm going to make Joe extremely happy. I want offensive linemen. Listen, if we draft first round, second round, and both picks in the third round offensive linemen, Joe, I would not say a word. I would be happy that Tuesday call, I promise you. I'm going to be like, yeah, baby, we did it, man. I'm telling you, I'm going to be going crazy. I'm not going to say anything, bro, because that's how bad it is. I mean, you have to look at it, man. We're the kind of team that needs, listen, you know how bad of a team you have to be to need 4 offensive linemen? I mean, that's just unheard of. I mean, like, your whole offensive line is retired at one time. It's impossible. I mean, it speaks volumes of what we have to do. Everyone with these outlandish ideas that we need this player. Listen, one player is not going to fix our team. But the reason I don't want to get rid of a player like Jamal is, like you said, he's once in a lifetime player. He's Deion Sanders. He's that kind of player. He's Lawrence Taylor. He's that kind of impact on the team. You don't want to let a guy like that go for 1 first-round pick and 2 second-rounders. Now, 2 first-round picks and 2 second-rounders, now we can get to talking because we have so many holes to fill. But with a player like that, regardless, he's going to make you better in the long run. You pay him now, you get it out the way. You know what I'm saying? Because if you want to pay him in 3 years, bro, listen, you're going to be giving him $80 million. If you're going to give him $140 million fully guaranteed type stupid stuff, bro, it's going to be them kind of numbers. So you pay now, lose later. You know what I'm saying? And so, I think 50 said, what did he say? You're more accepted, you're more missed when you're not in the present. So, you know what I'm saying? Jamal Lee's really going to miss that impact. You know what I'm saying? I think that, we're not a bad football team. We just have so many holes that need to be filled. And let's fill them with quality players. I mean, if you watch these undrafted guys coming in and these guys that's fighting, those are the kind of guys we got. Our defensive line is made up of undrafted players or players from 4th or 5th or 6th round picks that came in and fought for what they earned. You know what I'm saying? So why not find offensive linemen like that, receivers like that? You know what I'm saying? Look at the boy Samuels from San Francisco. Kid's a straight monster, man. What pick was he? What round was he drafted in? I know it was the first round, was it?
I think it was the 3rd round, maybe 2nd.
3rd round, exactly. Look how this kid. Listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. what Adam Gates really need to do, if you want to draft a running back, call my man up in New Orleans because he picks great running backs. You want to get a good receiver, call Andy Reid. Hey, Andy, man, who you thinking about picking in the third round, bro? I appreciate it. Thank you. Have a good one. You know what I'm saying? This is what you got to do because these guys always hit on good players. You know what I'm saying? Everyone says that the Patriots are good. No, they are a good systematic team. But Bill Belichick misses on players all the time. No one says nothing because they win.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Well,
If we were a winning organization, you know, who would care that we cut our third? I don't care if we cut our third, fourth, but we got a Super Bowl, though, baby. Believe that, though. Count that. You know what I'm saying? Listen, one more thing.
And you're, one second, is you're bringing the fire, but one of the points that you were touching on that you kind of missed was those teams are good because they understand how to utilize a player's skill set. That's what the Patriots do the best. I mean, we've seen them take wide receivers and turn them into corners. We've seen them take guys that we've cut and be able to utilize them in certain ways. So even if you're drafting talent for Adam Gase, a guy that has talent, hell, you look at Le'Veon Bell, probably the most talented player in the last, decade in the NFL, but he doesn't understand how to utilize that offensive talent. So that's the issue with Gase more so than anything. Go ahead.
Joe. That's called coaching, sir. I just want to let you know that's called coaching. I didn't say we had that at this moment, but I want to tell you one more thing before you guys let me go, man. I want to tell y'all guys one more quick story, Super Bowl story. I watched Super Bowl with one of my closest friends. You know, we've been friends since we were like, you know what I'm saying, little kids, you know what I mean? So he's a big Chief fan. And another friend of mine who passed away, God rest his soul, big Chief fan. So my friend who passed away, his mom threw a big Super Bowl party. So I went, you know what I mean, and just having a really good time celebrating with them, you know, and the San Francisco fans there. But I got to watch one of my closest friends' team win the Super Bowl. And no BS, man. He was drunk as hell, but he was crying, right? So we got outside. He popped out a couple Cuban cigars. He crying. And I was like, bro, he's like, yo, man, I've been waiting my whole life for this. And, yo, I ain't even going to lie, bro. I felt a little tear dripping down my face because I was like, I've been waiting my whole life for this shit, too. You know what I mean? It's killing me, bro. It's killing me. I'm really waiting for this.
Oh.
Like watching him win it, bro, was like, man, it was so beautiful, man. I'm like, yo. And I had my son, he came outside, gave me a hug, and I was like, yo, Poppy, one day, bro. I don't care if the Jets win the Super Bowl, bro. I swear to God on life, bro. I don't care what bill don't get paid, the mortgage, car payment, I don't care. Insurance, I don't care. I'm at that parade butt naked, bro. I'm outside butt naked with the Jets hat on, bro. Still boots, man. Real talk, man. It's crazy, man. I just want that feeling, man.
Oh,
you know, I just want that feeling. I just want that feeling, man. I just want to feel the victory, bro, one time. Listen, man. My pops and uncles be like, yo, man, when we win the Super Bowl, listen, bro, I won't even on earth, bro. I don't want to hear about the glory days, man. I want to feel it for myself. You know,
like Jay said, I just hope I'm young enough to enjoy it whenever it does happen.
I ain't gonna make it to be 100. So Jay, you gonna be in that party by yourself, man. But you better come and pull a bottle on my urn or something, bro. Do something for me, bro. Blow up. Nah, it's just crazy, man. I don't know, man. But I'm hoping that we get back to winning, man. Like, this is a great organization. We got great fans. You know, if you look at the list they showed today, we got the number 2 attendance in the league, bro. And we're a losing football team. Give us a good product, man. Joe Douglas, if you listen, man, give us a good product, man. You put your finger work, whatever you got to do your magic, whatever. Give us a good product so we can be proud of, man. We're a proud organization. We're a proud team, and we're probably the best fans in the league, man. You know, and we're just tired. We want to win. It's been 10 years in playoff drought, man. I mean, I ain't even playing, man. Bring back Fat Rex, baby. I need Rex back. Go get a snack.
Oh, man.
Go get it. You feel me? I'm watching old Rex videos, bro. Come on, man. Bar Scott can't wait, baby. I cried that night, baby. What? Oh, God.
The last football game I enjoyed watching. It's all downhill ever since that game.
Absolutely, man. You know, and it's like to the point, man, I don't even hate the Patriots no more, bro. It's like, why hate them? Like, you know what I'm saying? We suck. We can't beat them. Look, listen, man, I've been a Knicks fan my whole life, right? So I hated Michael Jordan because he ruined my childhood, right?
Oh,
so
man.
the one year I felt like we could beat Michael Jordan, he retired. I'm like, man, he a punk. So we get to the championship game, whatever, you know, and then Patrick Ewing, and I hate to bring this up, Patrick Ewing, bro.
Oh, that's the Charles Smith year?
Yeah, sir. Listen, when no. I'm talking about DeMarcus Camby when we played Houston.
Oh, okay.
When Patrick Ewing was like, when he was like, "Yo, I'm not going to play. I'm gonna save myself for next year." Ever since that moment, I hated Patrick Ewing. Like, bruh, next year, bruh, come on, man, stop playing with me. Next year, we can beat them, bro. Like, yo, ever since that moment, I hate Patrick. I don't hate you no more though, but I hate like when they traded Ewing, bro. I was like, yo, I took my Ewing jersey off and threw it in the trash, bro. Out of the door, man. I'm just saying, bro. I'm sorry. I love you guys. Great show as always, man. It's a blessing. And Steve, I want to say one more parting shot for you, buddy. Good luck Tuesday. I'll definitely be on Tuesday, buddy. For real.
All right, great call, man. Appreciate it.
Listen, all right, man. Love you guys. Be good, man. Go.
Have a good one, man. Man, even Patrick Ewing hate going on tonight. What is going on?
Man. Well, first off, I want to thank Tyrone for calling in. Love speaking to him. Passionate Jets fan. He had a fire call. I understand people are, coming at Steve, but, he's just trying his best, and I'm going to stand for him, man. I will be standing for him on Tuesday. I'm going to try to help him the best I can, but I think he's going to be all right, man. I think he's going to hold his own, and, you don't have any faith in him, but I do. You know what I'm saying? I think Steve is going to be all right. I just, think he has some things he has to get off his chest, and he stood up. But again, I want to thank Tyrone for calling in, man. Hell of a call.
Yeah, man. Great calls all night. Hour and a half show on a Friday night. Couldn't ask for anything more. I still don't think the Jets are any closer to winning a Super Bowl, but, hearing some of the calls tonight, definitely some renewed optimism. I'm sorry, dude. I don't have any faith in Adam Gase. Until he's gone, it is what it is. But hopefully Joe Douglas can bring the talent in here and hide it for a little bit. And we'll see what happens, man. Joe, do your thing.
Man, you are so optimistic, Kev. It's crazy. It's like you just brighten up everything, man. Look, we'll see what Joe Douglas does this. We'll see what Joe Douglas does this offseason, man. Listen, I hear you. A lot of things that are come down to that, but I think he's going to make some moves and some solid stuff. But listen, I'm the man of the people. I am here for the people. Let me shamefully promote our Facebook page. Everyone go on Facebook, search Let's Talk Jets Radio. Like that page. Our content's up there. Go ahead and give it a listen. Message us. We'll message you right back. We love going back and forth with folks about this football team. Also, leave us some feedback. We love hearing about what you folks think we do here on Let's Talk Jets Radio. I'm also on Twitter as well at YoungJ000. That's 3 zeros. Go ahead and follow me. I'll follow you right back. Going to troll me. No issues. I'm the trollist under the bridge. I will troll you right back, and I will have my Darnold jersey on, all right? So we can go back and forth on there as well. I'm also on YouTube at YoungJ00. That's 2 zeros on YouTube, 3 on Twitter. I do videos about the Jets. I'll continue to do that throughout this offseason. I'll talk about the needs of the team and what's going on. So go ahead and subscribe to my content on there as well. And if you want to troll me on there as well, no issues, because I will troll you right back so we can go back and forth on there as well. And as always, people, when you see me in person, okay, it is arms out, chest open, free hugs. Oh, man. I see the ghost of Tyson is still. Yeah, I'm sure you don't. I'm sure Tyson's spirit, his ghost, just came and just pressed the button, didn't it? That's what happened. That's what happened. I don't think that's. Yeah, I'm sure it is crazy. It is crazy. You are crazy. Come on, man. Come on, man. All night tonight, you gonna do that? Come on. Let's move past this hatred. That's what I'm saying. It's infected you as well. It's already infected Tyson. Now it's infected you. Stop this, man. We got to move forward because you're not going to separate me from the people, okay? That's not happening. So when you folks see me in person, all right, it is arms out, chest open, free hugs for everyone, okay? Never thought I would say this, but don't believe our producer. He is lying to you, just like Tyson lies to you on a weekly basis. I never thought I would say something like that, but I've got to say it. I've got to let the people know that I will always be here for them, and the hugs will always be free. I have never taken a dime, okay? I want to thank you folks for listening. Without you people, we got absolutely nothing. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to listen in and call into the show. You folks are the absolute best. And I'm telling you, Steve, I'm going to be standing for you, man. I can't wait till the show next week.
Oh, good luck with that, man. Thank you again to everyone that called in, tuned in, especially again on a Friday night. We appreciate all the support. Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Talk Jets Radio. We'll be back again Tuesday night live, 8 o'clock, so talk to you guys then.